I was just telling everybody that these days when I jump on Instagram, every day there's something that incorporates astrology. And it's typically tropical astrology. And it wasn't until about, I think, a year ago that I found out there was actually more than one astrology.
Yeah. That's
it's like one of those things you're like, wait a minute, like there's another form of astrology and what's right, what's wrong. And so it starts to make you wonder, like, well, is all of that correct? Is it true? Like, is it accurate? And so when we crossed paths and you pulled my chart and you said, you're not a Pisces, you're an Aquarius.
Yeah.
I was like, you're wrong.
You're wrong. I know. I hear that a lot, actually.
I know, right? And I'm like, no, there's no way.
I like being a Pisces. Okay.
Yeah.
It's cool.
No.
That's fine.
But then as I started to understand it and we did a reading together, things started clicking a little bit more. And so that's why I thought it was really important that we had this potent conversation so that more people that are out there that aren't aware of the SKYstrology, that perhaps are only paying attention to tropical, or they're just following what everyone else is posting because everyone else is just posting for the sake of posting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because you said something that really clicked. You said, when the moon is in Capricorn or something, say, and you go outside and then you look and you actually know how to read the sky and you can tell, like, okay, and even if you have the little app, like, well, the moon's over here and it's not in Capricorn, it's in something else, then that kind of like signals off like, so then what everyone is saying is not accurate.
Yeah. So why are we using that term? Yeah. That was my big eye-opener to tropical astrology because I had done it since high school. Like, I'd been into astrology since high school. And that was a long time ago, y'all. I ended up getting a job at night, outdoors, obviously, like on a horse farm. And I started tracking the moon cycle, like in the sky. And I started looking at tropical astrology and where the moon really was. And I was like, something funny here. So the lady that I did astrology, like I had her read my chart. I asked her, I was like, why did you choose tropical astrology? And she's like, well, it's just kind of what was handed to me. And I was like, well, I feel like that was kind of my situation too, but now I have more information and that's the game. I was like, okay, now I can make a different decision because I know it doesn't correlate. And you guys, nature doesn't lie. It's like the moon's in Capricorn. That's where the energy's coming through, period. Like, that's kind of the way I saw it. I was like, well, let's just go with what's really happening in nature. So when you kind of look at it that way, you're kind of like, okay, well, let's reevaluate this, right?
Yeah.
And it does, because tropical astrology does not keep up with the precession of the equinoxes. Tropical charts are off about 24 degrees from the actual sky, and that makes a big difference in your chart.
Well, that's pretty
like a whole sign. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because in tropical, each sign is about 30 degrees apart, right? So if it's 24 degrees off, you're basically a whole sign off, like you said.
You're basically a whole sign off. And the other interesting thing about like using the actual visible sky is that the constellations are not all 30 degrees. Like, the things you start learning when you start looking at the actual sky, you're like, okay, so like Virgo's like maybe 45 degrees, right? That's way bigger than 30. And Scorpio is like 12, 13 degrees. So people who are born under the sign of Scorpio in the actual sky is a much smaller margin than what tropical astrology would report. So it's kind of interesting. And we also use a fucus.
Break that down, because I like that word.
Ophiuchus. Yeah, he's the healer archetype. So it's like, let's not leave him out, right? After you do all that Scorpio work and the deep dive in the Scorpio stuff, like that's kind of the next thing past Scorpio is Ophiuchus. That's where you do the healing, as the planets transit through things in the chart. So that's where you get the opportunity to rebound from all that deep dive Scorpio stuff.
So besides just the degrees being off, the placements being off, what is the difference? What are some other differences from SKYstrology and tropical? Like, is there any other major differences that would make like a huge difference in one understanding their chart? One thing being, I think you said before that SKYstrology is like your soul chart, where tropical is more like your something.
It's like sort of like your physical manifestation. And honestly, and tropical does have a value, but the only real value it has is looking at where the sun is placed. The rest of the planets, it just doesn't really correlate in any way that you can sorry guys. But that's just the way it works because of the nature of a tropical chart. 2,000 years ago is about when tropical astrology became like heavily used, and like from what I've researched, it was for agricultural purposes, like to track the seasons. It's to track the daylight. So in that way, it's very accurate because, you know, a certain time of the year, the sun is always doing like the equinox and solstice. So you're tracking the sine wave of like how much daylight and darkness. But that's the reason why the sun is really the only thing that's accurate. It's like tropical astrology cycles in a circle on a plane, and in the real sky, the planets are doing this. They're doing a circle, they're doing a cycle, but they're also moving on a z-axis. And there's precession. There's all these other variables, all these other forces that are in play, more than just the two-dimensional spin in place. So tropical astrology just reads the spin in place, and SKYstrology reads the actual traveling of things through the universe. So it correlates more to like your soul's journey and like your karmas. Like you can read things. I mean, and like you and I have had a reading where we go into like galactic things and alignments with fixed stars and starseed planets. And it just, right now, it's blowing my mind how you can correlate that stuff.
Yeah, so I just had a reading done with Janine a few nights ago. What was it? Monday night, right? Was it Monday night? And just for any of you out there that may be familiar with the Arcturians, right? I've been working a lot with them, and they've been coming up a lot for me. And then sure enough, on my chart, Janine's like, well,
boom,
this is why. Can you explain a little bit about when you make those placements with the different planets and the, you know, different stars and all that, you know, all that jazz? Like how are you doing it, or what are you looking for, or just like break it down to me, sister.
Yeah, the starseed placements aren't actually on the ecliptic. Like the path the sun travels is the ecliptic, and it does the same path pretty much every year. The movement of that would be really slow, like millions of years for the stars in the background to shift. So we can look at the fixed stars, like other star systems, with good accuracy, because they really never move, and they're not on the ecliptic. They're actually in an alignment. So if the ecliptic is running this way, this is where the sun's traveling. You can see the alignment by looking at a line perpendicular to the ecliptic and saying, okay, what planet is lined up with that star system? Like for you, do you mind if I share what planet?
Please, yeah.
Okay,
give them all the info.
For Monet, Pluto in retrograde was aligned with Arcturus, like exactly conjunct. And I was like, oh, there's your Arcturus vibe. And it's kind of like, as you move through your oldest karmic layer, that connection is going to become very stabilized, and you're going to understand a whole lot more about like your Arcturian lineage. So it's fascinating, because this is something that I'm learning how to do like right now. And yeah, I love that the folks in our group kind of have a knowledge of like who they're working with galactically, and I can go in and like double check it in the charts and be like, does this sound right? Are you working with Orion people? Are you working with like people over here in Hadar? And like, it's been freaky accurate. So that's great news. It's very exciting for me too.
Yeah, it's super exciting, because I don't think people know that you can do that. That's why I wanted you to come on.
Yeah, I don't think people
showcase.
I don't think it's been a thing until recently.
Until you.
Well, you know, to be fair, like I've learned it from other sources, and like I'm kind of a meta dietitian, and I'm just like, oh, here's a nugget and here's a nugget, and I synthesize a lot of things. So there's kind of been bits and pieces everywhere, but I also dream with the planetary archetypes, so I understand how they work, and I understand like aspects of planetary things in kind of a different way that a lot of people don't. So it's a synthesis of things that are going on in like coming up from within me, and like other people doing bits and pieces, and I'm like, oh, this is a good nugget. I can expand what I'm doing and see more through like piecing things together. So
yeah,
it's a fun journey for sure.
Well, you're great at it. I think it's your divine blueprint, right? You're a blueprinter. So, I mean, it's part of your job. It's part of your mission here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get into a little bit more of the chart. So there was something on there that struck me as different too that people don't talk about. It was that bold line towards the bottom in the middle. I think it was the Great Central Sun or something.
Oh, the galactic center.
Galactic center.
What are you talking about? Yeah. So that's the fun thing about Ophiuchus, you guys. Galactic center is not in Sagittarius. It's like right on the cusp of Ophiuchus in Sagittarius, and that's kind of a big deal, like where that is in your chart. And it's like one of those things. It's like unless you know where it is, unless you're looking out in the sky with your sky, go get a sky app, you guys. That's the best way to learn how to do this, and just look at stuff. Be like, oh, there's galactic center, and you can start to figure out where your planets are in relation to that. Like you had a pretty important placement. Your IC was at galactic center, and I was like, ooh, girl, your inner self, your psychic basement goes all the way back to the central sun. That is way cool.
Yeah. Can you break it down a little bit for people that maybe just like, I don't understand any of this? Like, so what does that even mean?
Galactic center?
Mm-hmm.
Galactic center is like where a lot of our energetic ties go back to, like when you travel outside of this dimension kind of thing. It's like it's a really powerful placement, and it's like, for example, my moon is like 3 degrees from galactic center. So when I see that in my own chart, I'm like, okay, I have emotional things that go all the way back. Like I know when I do my work with moon, I clear the blockages, emotional blockages, like I will connect with whatever aspect of galactic center that the blocked emotions are not letting me access. So I have the opportunity in this life to clear all that stuff and become a clear channel. And like when you think about how you manifest things, how do you manifest? You manifest from emotion, and it's like, I think I just had an aha moment about my own chart. It's like, oh, no wonder like I experience synchros the way I do, and I clear quantum things the way I do, because it's like it's all tied to emotions. And as I clear my own emotions, like I literally see the quantum, I see 3D reality change around me. I'm like, oh, light bulb moment. Thanks for that.
Yes, I'm so happy that just came to you. Yeah, that's okay.
So see what kind of a big deal it is, you guys? It's like
huge
the galactic center is like a big deal. It's very deep. There's very deep healing accessible through that, because it's like in the last degree of Ophiuchus. So, you know, it's still that healing vibe.
Yeah, I love it. And you said my IC was close to it, right?
Yeah, your IC is, let me see, I've got it sitting here.
And someone's asking, is the galactic center the cosmic womb? I heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, amazing.
It's all those energetic vibes for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to look if there's any other questions here. Yeah, just all comments. Awesome. Yeah, so IC. So what is the IC and what is the MC on a chart?
IC is like, okay, if you think about the Earth, you're looking at Earth as a sphere. The IC would be like what's on the dark side of Earth at night. So it's like if it's sunny at the top of the chart, or top of the Earth would be high noon. At high noon, you cast no shadow, and its MC is really like the thing you bring to shine out to the world. It's kind of like what you do and what you are. It's kind of the same thing. And the IC is like your psychic basement. Okay, it's like the depths of you that maybe you don't even know about, because it's down on that bottom side. That's like, it's night, right? And it could be your private self, your personal self, things you don't want other people to know, and also things that you may not even know about yourself. So when I see like galactic center park there, I'm like, girl, you go deep, and you probably don't even know how deep.
I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission right now, figuring that out.
Keep peeling the layers, and like that connection will stabilize as you do all your inner work, for sure.
Yes. It's a constant thing, right? It's one of those things with healing. People think like, oh, you have a session and then you're good. It's like, no, it's constant, you know, peeling the layers, discovering more, tapping into more, using the different tools. I mean, we're all doing it. And I love our group for, you know, supporting each other and coming together. And
Yes.
just like last night, just to share real quick, Janine's, she's like that mama energy in our group. Like, she's like, all right, let's do some breath work. And then yesterday you guided us through some breath work, or you just got it going. And it totally cleared something up for me. I had some major cramps going on, and it just totally subsided after that. But you're so amazing, girlfriend.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll be honest, like, our group is amazing. Like, we all have our own specialties, and we all support each other. And it's like, I'm just going to kick the horn on our group. Our girls group is amazing.
Shout out to all the sisters that are on here that are joining us. Jennifer, Samantha, Bree, oh my gosh, all the Crystal. Amazing. Shout out to Jade. Yeah, love you ladies.
Yeah, I do want to mention, like, I have not cornered the market on, like, actual SKYstrology. There is a chart calculator where you can pull your own chart. If you can read your own chart, go to masteringthezodiac.com, or I have it linked in my bio. Like, I have a link tree, and you can go click on a free chart thing, and it goes to his website. So I want to give props to Athen Chimenti. He is awesome. He's the one, like, 4 or 5 years ago, I found him. He'd already redone the whole chart calculator, and it changed my life. So props to him. He's amazing. And, you know, I'm not about, like I said, I haven't cornered the market on this. All my mission is like, share that this is a thing so people have a choice if they're interested. I'm happy to do a reading. I do all my stuff by donation. So it's kind of just like soul mission to, like, put the information out there that's like, hey, there's another thing.
Yes, I'm going to be posting your Instagram so everybody can go follow you, click on your links, book a reading. I think everyone should do it. It's going to blow your mind. And
I agree. I agree with that.
Just do it. I mean, you know, it's like I said at the beginning of this, like, I'm sure if you follow all the same types of accounts that I do, it's like as soon as you open up your Instagram, it's always something about astrology, you know, and there's always affirmations for your signs and all these things. But if we just had, you know, a little bit more information, you can discern better what you align with, and then that hopefully can help you even better in life, because you never know, you might be in a completely different sign, just like I have been. So
yes. And you know, like, in tropical astrology, I was a Scorpio. I was a Scorpio sun, Scorpio ascendant, and I was going through life like, oh, this emotional blah. And, you know, I was seeing life through that lens. And then 4 or 5 years ago, I had Athen pull a chart, and I was like, I'm a Libra sun, Libra ascendant. And seriously, like, it took me a good month to wrap my head around it. But the thing about this chart is, look at your patterns throughout your life, because that's what it's reflecting. Like, charts are about patterns, right? And I realized I was looking at the elemental nature of a Libra. Libra is an air sign. And I was like, oh, snap. I just started realizing my patterns, and I was like, oh, dang, I am a Libra. I'm like, and then I started seeing, like, oh, I have Libra hair. Oh, I have Libra shopping habits. Oh, I have all those social anxieties about, you know, being popular. I'm like, that was my high school career. I'm like, I am so a Libra. I'm like, ah. So it can take some time to wrap your head around it. But, you know, if you're interested in it, it's important to just, like, plug it into the conscious mind, sit with it for a while, and then just watch your own habits. So
yeah, for my chart, the only thing that's the same is my rising, my ascendant sign in Virgo. But my sun sign, all of these 40 years have been in Pisces. Now I'm Aquarius, according to SKYstrology. And then my moon was in Scorpio, which I always felt like, I don't know. And then, but I guess now it's in Virgo. So I'm a double Virgo. I'm a Aquarius, double Virgo. I'm just still wrapping my head around it. But like I said, there are some things where I'm like, yep.
Yeah. I was a Sagittarius moon.
Virgo.
I never resonated with that. Never. I was like, my inner self is complete hermit. Like, that is what all I want to do is, like, you know, I just like hanging out and doing my thing. And I was like, I'm not Sagittarius. There's no fire in there. It is a recluse. And then pulled my chart and a Fucus moon. And I'm like, oh, that makes way more sense. Right. way more sense. So if y'all feel like there's something that just doesn't click, it's probably because it's not a thing.
You know, I just had a conversation with a friend yesterday that she was having a conversation with some other friends. And they were talking about astrology and how one girl said, you know, I just really don't resonate with my sign. And I thought, well, how perfect. We have this live conversation about SKYstrology. Have her hop on because perhaps that's what she's feeling. She's actually really in tune with herself. And she knows like, hey, I don't know, let me question all this information that's being blasted at me. Like, this is what you are. Right. And so I hope that she's on. I'm not too sure if she's catching this today, but that's the great thing about these lives is that they can come back and watch these.
And that's a very good point. Let me just jump in there and say that's a very good point. Like, I almost understand tropical astrology now as this egregore or like consciousness overlay, that it's a lens you see things through. I know egregore sounds scary, but it's just like this consciousness that has been given a life, and it's like alive, and kind of like people can't see through it because they identify with it so much. So if you're like, how I know it was a thing for me, like I was ready to grow out of tropical astrology because I was soul searching really hard, and I was just like, I just want to know who I am. So if you don't resonate with your tropical thing, you're like, it just means you're ready to leave it behind and go to the next thing. And that's an important step to realize too. Some people in their current life will never outgrow it because they're not ready to. And that's fine. Tropical has value. It's just not the deep, intense soul journey. You know, the people who come to this kind of astrology, I know that they have a soul mission. That's kind of the thing. And I know that's why universe is like, here's where you need to go because you can read this stuff. And some people need to know this now. And some people, it's like this algorithmic wave of people who are like, I don't feel like this resonates. There's something else. And that's where they find me. They're either synchronistically brought to me or people refer them to me or whatever. But it's like, you just, when they come to me, I know they're ready to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As you're talking, the word that comes to mind was conditioning. We're so conditioned to be in the box of, you know, certain systems that have been in place. And so, yeah, it's like right now, it's like, everyone's, you know, who's ready is breaking out of these, you know, confinements and, you know, out of the boxes and really kind of finding like, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I really?
Who am I reflected in the actual sky? What was really happening at the moment I was born? Those are big, important questions.
So powerful. And I know that everybody that, you know, is connected with me here through Instagram is totally open to this. So I see you having a bunch of people coming your way and, you know, at least checking out their chart and, you know, wanting to dive deeper. Is this something that you see you moving forward with and perhaps teaching others one day?
Yeah, I mean, that's really my main focus is to like teach it and just disseminate the information. So people, like the best thing you could do for your soul journey, guys, is to learn how to read your own chart. Mm-hmm. So yes, I do feel like there's a nugget of that in there. Probably.
Yeah, I totally see that for you. I mean, you have, like I said, you even said a jack of all trades, and you do so, she's so like knowledgeable. One of our friend Bree, she called her our wizard, and I'm like, yes. And then you said you had mentioned your connection with being a Merlin. So she's just so wise. She has so much information, and she's we're gonna segue into another live perhaps another day. I have more questions about SKYstrology, but just to kind of reel you guys in a little bit more for another potent conversation, we will be going deep into dream work because she is, I don't know anybody else that's better than her. I can call her, I can message her and be like, this was my dream and none of it makes sense to me. And then she's like, oh, it's this and that. And oh, it's this emotion and this happening. And I'm like, how do you break that down?
That? You know, people ask me that all the time. It's the metadata factor. You guys, I have Gemini in the 9th house. It's just what I do.
It's what she does. And I mean, she's so powerful. She does so much work in the dream state. So yeah, she's a very powerful being. But I'm gonna reel it back to charts. I want to get into retrogrades. because I have 4 planets that are retrograde. I want you to break that down, explain it to everyone who if they're pulling their chart and they're not familiar and they see that, a lot of people get scared because of the retrograde, like, oh shit, I'm screwed up, I'm crazy, I don't have my shit together. They can think a lot of different things. But I just want to tell you, no, there's actually a lot of good in it. So Janine?
Yeah, retrogrades in a birth chart are just a little bit of a different vibe than a retrograde transit. Like a transit, like what's happening now with like Jupiter, or not Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto and Mercury. Like the retrograde, if you're alive and walking around and experiencing it, it's like this inward, you go in and it's things come up to be reintegrated that may be fragmented off. So it's just this kind of inward. You know, when you think about a planet backing up, it's like, okay, let's redo this. There's some things that are going to come up. And then the planet goes forward again. And it's like, okay, let's see if we can hold the vibe now. That's the retrograde thing in a transit. In a birth chart, it's really an opportunity to recode that planetary energy. It's like you were born at that specific time with that planet retrograde because you got something from past life that's like, okay, you may not have done your Jupiter stuff so well in that life. You may have expanded in like, not the healthiest, most aligned way, and we're going to put you here on Earth now while it's parked in retrograde so you can recode that. So you'll get all kinds of opportunities in your life to expand, and you'll kind of just want to do that thing because it needs to be recoded. But when you see it in a chart, you'll just be like, oh, you're reworking Jupiter stuff. Cool. How's that working for you? You know, and it's like not a scary thing at all. It's an opportunity. It's always an opportunity.
Yes. How would you suggest one goes about working with that planet though? So like say for me, Jupiter, like what would you suggest I do? Like what's the work? Like how would you?
When anything is presented to expand, it would depend on what's aspecting it, where it's sitting, those kinds of things. That would help me understand what needs to expand in a healthier way. Okay. But I would generally just say when you have opportunities to grow or expand, take that breath as you're making a choice or doing the thing and just be like, okay, is this in highest alignment? Is this helping me move towards abundance in a loving and truthful way? Could also mean with it, like if it was specifically Jupiter, it could also mean like you have some limiting beliefs because Jupiter is very much about beliefs and it kind of tilts into religion, can be dogmatic. So it depends on your chart. And I can usually get an overtone of like what it is you're actually recoding. But it would be like, if it's about limiting beliefs, like just be really aware that you probably have some and you need to go in there and find them and recode them. And then you will naturally just expand on a path or timeline that is in alignment with truth and love and like the natural abundance that underlies the whole fabric of reality, because that's that when you get down to truth, that's what it is. So Jupiter is just trying to help you align with the unified field.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at my chart and I believe I have all 3, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, all retrograde, all
and Mercury.
And Mercury, but I think I have the first 3 all in Libra.
In the first house.
Or in the first house.
They're all in the first house in Virgo.
In Virgo.
Right. So all those things would be about like being really analytical and like it's about self-improvement. Virgo's really about self-improvement, right? Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be super critical. So like a Jupiter in that placement is like you really want to expand in this aligned way and do all this self-improvement, but don't criticize yourself too much, right? Yeah. I'm not perfect. You fall into perfectionism patterns.
I've been letting that thing go. Mm-hmm.
First house says it's applying to you, your body, your psyche, your thoughts, your feelings, like anything to do with you. So yeah.
A lot going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot with those 3 planets for sure.
And there's a lot going on in
Saturn
environment
karmic,
there.
So.
I'm seeing all the little fireflies or fairies and stuff.
I know. I've got little friends.
What else on the chart would you say is really important to look at? Is there anything else that I missed?
That's a good question. Like the first thing I always look at is ascendant, because I want to know your chart ruler. I want to know what planet has the greatest overtone in your chart. So for Virgo, it would be Mercury. And I would say, okay, you're Virgo ascendant. That's cool. The ascendant's important because it sets how the constellations align with the house system. And then I would go look at Mercury in your chart, and because Mercury's in retrograde, I'm like, it's really important to recode. Like, you're gonna have this drive to do this aligned speaking and learning information and sharing information and communicating in this aligned way.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that would be the first thing, is ascendant and chart ruler, and then I look sun and moon, obviously, and then I look at Rahu and Ketu, like north and south node, because soul journey and like kind of where you've been in the most concurrent past life.
Let's break those down, because people might hear Rahu and they're like, what are you talking about my Rahu for? Yeah, what's Rahu?
Yeah, Rahu's the sidereal, the Vedic for north and south nodes. So Rahu is the north node, Ketu, and I like those because that's the dragon symbolism, like, and that's what came up in my dream. So I usually always call them Rahu and Ketu, like a big scary dragon in my dream. And it was the nodes. That's really funny.
Is that why I had that little dragon in my one dream that was coming towards? Remember that?
I don't know. If it was like node energy, it would have been like big scary dragon, T-Rex, shark monster.
Oh, yeah, no.
Weird and trippy. Because the north node is kind of like intimidating. Moving into your north node stuff is important for your soul's journey. It needs those experiences to grow, but it doesn't mean that it'll always feel good, because you're expanding your comfort zone, right? Growth can be hard. So yeah, it's the dragon energy in your chart, and there is like a Rahu maturation date, which I think is 48, and then there's a Ketu south node, which is like the most recent. Not recent, the most concurrent past life to this life's lessons. And that's like 52 is the maturation date of that. So you kind of get these two gateways where you're like, have you been going into your soul mission stuff, like things you came here to learn, and you get like some checks in the boxes, or you get some, no, we need to do another cycle of that. And the south node is like, I feel like the south node maturation is really about the karmic release. But there's also these points, like I just passed one in my chart. It was so huge. It's like the transiting north and south nodes aligning with your natal north and south nodes. And that's kind of a big deal, because it's like a big integration point when those two are touching each other. And it was like, mine was 2 degrees from Aldebaran, which I was like, oh, Venusian starseed things and like all these things that I just learned all of a sudden. And I was like, oh, dang, that was kind of important. Good to know.
Wait, so how do you calculate that, or what
you can see it when you do like a birth chart with a transit chart overlaid. You can see where the transit is. And like for me, how old am I this year? Like 40.
I want to do that.
6. So it's about when you're 46.
Okay, so I've got about 6 years to go.
Yes.
But I want to check that out. Did we do that? Did we talk about that in our reading? No.
We didn't.
Okay. Yeah, I want to see what that is. That sounds cool. I'm trying to think what else. SKYstrology. Well, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, questions. Bring them. I'll do my best to answer them. If anybody has any.
Sherrick says, "Tell me, Janine."
Sherrick, I love you, Sherrick. You're so funny. Yeah, chart ruler. Chart ruler is a big deal.
You know, we've been talking a lot about like our jobs here, right? Like coders, recoders, rewirers, blueprinters. Can you tell that from reading a chart as well?
That's a really good question.
Well, because you mentioned you're here to like rewire a lot of stuff. So that came up in a session with Sonia and I about me being able to rewire stuff like really easy. So that makes sense to me when you mention that on my chart. And when I do something with clients, I'm literally rewiring their beliefs and, emotions and stuff like that. And then going back, on, the lineages and rewriting stuff. So it makes sense. But is that something that maybe another layer you can add?
I feel like with that, it's a layer. If you can see that, it's a layer I haven't peeled yet. Like I have come to my own understanding of like, oh, this is my soul job. I didn't necessarily find it through my chart, but like when we were just talking about the moon and the fucus, it was like a nugget. So like you can kind of piece together all these little nuggets, and like there was one person in particular that like their Gemini Mercury placements were so just like in your face. I'm like, dude, you're a portal keeper. So you can kind of suss out what the job is depending on some of the placements. Yeah. But I haven't peeled a layer if I can look at one particular planet and go,
I have a feeling you're going to like crack that code.
No, I feel like it's more of an art. Like you would be able to right brain it, like look at the chart and be like, okay, I'm doing calculus in my head. Here's your soul job. You know, yeah. It's kind of that.
You're also an engineer, right? You're an engineer.
Yeah.
You're an architect, engineer. I mean,
yeah, it'll be in your patterns. If you've been really true to yourself, I have to say that. If at every decision point you've been like, this feels like what I want to do or what I feel called to do, or this is what I would love to do, and you've aligned with those things, your experiences will reflect your soul job. Like there have been crazy synchros that go back to preschool for me with the blueprinters. And it was like my favorite 2 things to do in preschool. We got to pick every day 2 activities, blocks and art. Okay. Whoa. And blocks as in like playing with stacked blocks, and art. And then literally this year I was revisiting those things. I was like, okay, I like to do blocks and art. And I was like, oh, what do I do as a soul? Like I process through blocks and I turn it into beautiful things. And it's like, you will see these echoes through your whole life if you've been true to yourself. So that's kind of an amazing nugget that I've seen that goes back like all the way to my childhood. It is wild.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've always loved performing. I've never been shy. Like I've always just been like, where's the stage? Teach me the dance routine. I'm here for it.
Yeah. And you have like the energy of Leo is partially in the 11th house. That makes a lot of sense, right? It's like, I like singing and dancing. You like to be on stage in front of people. That's what the energy of Leo is. So yeah.
And that's why I got my degree in acting and dance. I mean,
there you go. And you know from our reading that is a huge benefit for your soul journey, the things your soul is aligned with and wants to take you. It was like, that was a skill set you needed to learn.
Yes. Yeah. Even though I'm not exactly actively utilizing it.
That doesn't matter.
It's just like, it was the foundation to really kind of get me to this moment right here, right now with you, with everyone watching now or in quantum time, you know? And it's just, we all have to understand that we have different experiences and go through different things in life that bring us to be able to do what our soul mission is. So
and that's why I never judge what you feel like you feel called to do, because it has some part, it's some little section of some skill set you probably need to learn to do the job that you will do on a higher dimensional level. It's all important. So follow your heart. Like when they say, it sounds so corny, but it's so true. Just follow the things that you love to do and do them as much as you can, because the experiences you'll have through that are important in building the skill set to do your soul job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trust those about you. You're just like doing amazing work, and you're such a great friend, and you're just so knowledgeable and so wise and so giving. And I want all of you guys that are watching to really follow her. Reach out if you have any questions. She also has every Sunday night on Clubhouse a chat. It's called, what is it called again? It's the Dream
Lab.
Lab.
It's in the Lucid Dreamers Club, and we kind of kick it off with like, how's your dream life this week? And then we just dive into the woo wherever it takes us. It's really about consciousness exploration through dreaming. But we go wherever it takes us. And like most of the time it turns into topics like, you know, stuff like this, soul jobs and weird things. And we just go all over the place. It's a super fun chat.
It's amazing. It's kind of, is it like our chats that we have that go for like 4 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we try and keep it to 2 just because I have a co-host and I like to be nice, not expect anybody to sit there for 4 hours. So, but we have some amazing things come up, and we're corresponding on a group level, like this whole dreaming collective, you know, because that's really the next step in human evolution, is like astral traveling, quantum dreaming, people meeting up in the dream realm, and we're just tapping into it on such a tiny level right now. So it's interesting to see from week to week, especially corresponding it to what's going on in the sky, you know, and be like, how were your dreams this week? Like, I've been in a blackout. I've obviously been out doing things, recoding. My body's been working. And like, so there's like a group of people that are always like, yeah, me too. That's weird. So it's kind of like we check in with each other every week to see who's doing what, where, who's having what experiences. Yeah, it's really neat.
I love it. Everyone join. I'm going to jump on here and look. Let's see. Bree says, yes, talk about where we see our mission. So the group of us, we have been talking about our new reality, this new earth reality that we're creating and what we're going to all be doing together. And even through this channel here, you know, uniting people, helping people become more aware and understand what's going on as we've been learning together, and just kind of comparing notes. But we really want to create a space where other people can join us and learn the things and contribute, because a lot of people, I guarantee, are probably going through some things and they're like, I don't understand what this means. I don't feel comfortable talking about it because people are going to think I'm crazy. So we're working on putting something together on Clubhouse, because I think that's probably the best way of doing it for, you know, a large group of people. So that's something to look forward to. So shout out to Bree for putting that out here today. And then let's see, is North Node soul job?
North Node is like the experiences your soul needs to gain in this lifetime to be able to embody more fully, you know, like it's what will help expand the light in the body. So through those experiences, it will help you be able to do that to a greater degree.
Yeah. Love it. You know what? Let's talk about the solstice.
Oh, girl. I don't know about you, but like since that lunar eclipse, the energy has been off the chart, like lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, and like,
yes,
yeah, it's kind of like that. I'm getting the vibes of like the energy tsunami I experienced in 2017 with the solstice. Like,
please explain.
I usually get how I know we're moving through a portal. A lot of people have different abilities to understand energy, and like mine is like I actually see the manifestation. Like I get messages through 3D reality because it's showing me, I don't know, that's just how I work. I'm a quantum recoder, so of course it comes into 3D to say you did it. But in 2017 at that eclipse I experienced like synchronicity that was insane up to that energetic event, and after that it was like a 30-day ghost town. Since the solar eclipse, this what a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, it's been that same sort of like synchro vacuum. I'm like, where'd all the synchronicity go? And like, I describe that from 2017 as this energetic tsunami where the water's just pulling off the beach and it's getting ready to come over and like hit us with a new wave. So I feel like that's kind of what's going on right now, because today the synchros started up for me where it'd been sort of like a blackout for a week or so. And I always know something's up with the recoding, like anchoring new timelines, that kind of vibe. So it's like we're getting ready to experience the new timelines as we move through the solstice, which is really interesting. And I mean, all my synchros have been really fun and playful, which is reflecting my own inner work. Hopefully that also reflects something for the collective, because I know I recode things on a collective level.
Yep, you do.
But if you guys start experiencing weirdness, emotional things, kind of like weird juju situations you have to deal with in real life, like just know those are opportunities to recode things as you're riding that energetic, because you manifest through emotional states, right? As the emotions crescendo, that's your opportunity to take a pause and breathe. And like, even if you have to make a decision you don't like, just pause and breathe, because you will move things. It's the awareness that matters. Be like, okay, this really sucks right now. We're going to go do the thing. And I'm going to be consciously aware of every emotion it brings up. That's how you anchor new timelines. That's what's coming up from now to the solstice. Like, it's kind of like crunch time, not in a bad way. It's just like, okay, we're going to revisit a lot of things really quick to see who's really ready to pull down those new timelines.
Yeah.
And like, things are shifting from the solstice on. So
I feel it. There's been some stuff happening too in my life, and I'm like, okay, let me recode this.
Yeah. And it's just about being present, and it's about allowing yourself to feel the feeling and still hold a love vibration for yourself, right? Be like, it's all going to be okay, right? Look around you, tap into like your senses, be like, I'm okay. It doesn't feel good, but I'm okay. That's what matters. That's it.
You know, what's interesting is, for me, there's been some things that have happened where for me, it's easy to hold the vibe. And it's not emotional, but it's emotional for everybody else. And I'm like, oh, how do I just pull them up to this reality, to this time?
You don't pull them up. They pull themselves up. It's never about doing it for anybody else.
It's hard because I'm just
stay in your lane.
Meet me up here.
Where have you heard that before? Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Yep.
Yes. If you cross paths with somebody who's having a bad day, deal with the situation as it seems appropriate, but you support them in their work. You do your own work. You process the feelings that person brings up for you. That's it. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, it's mostly just family stuff, you know, where I'm like, everybody be on my same wavelength, but it's hard.
And those are big things to recode. And that's where a support system that can, you know, because like, I almost have this thing against like, I'm sending you healing vibes, because like, that's great. But like, what if that's not in their highest alignment? How about I'm holding space for you? I'm just holding space for you so you can make the best choice that you can. Like, I feel like for me, that's been where it's gone for me, just in like what you're talking about is like, how can I help people? I'm holding space for you. So that you can find the space within yourself to make the choice that's best for you, or do the thing, or feel the thing, or whatever it is. Because it is about going in and finding the yucky stuff and recoding it for yourself.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, when you light a candle and you're holding space, right? Like holding, like, kind of makes sense now.
That's a beautiful thing to do.
Light a candle. I'm lighting a candle
for you, and I'm here if you need me, right? That's the greatest gift you can give to somebody, is like, I'm here if you need somebody.
Yes. That was just the golden nugget for me in a project.
Yay! I was trying to get the stars. Like, I was sitting out here. Can y'all see any stars? I don't know. Light's probably too bright.
Yeah, but it's gorgeous. I mean, from the beginning of this live to now, I need to go visit you.
Yes, you do.
All the way in Kentucky.
Oh,
go visit her, because I've never been there.
If we can
Thank you, Sherrick. Thank you, Kat.
I'm going to find the moon because she's out, you guys.
Please, where is Mama Moon?
There she is. Quarter moon tonight, you guys. It's crunch time. Quarter moon.
Well, since we're talking about SKYstrology mostly, right? Are you familiar with the moon phases? Do you want to talk anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of specific to like, you can look at your birth chart and look at what phase the moon was in on the day you were born. But like for today specifically, we'll just focus on what's going on right now. A quarter moon is like a square energy in a chart, and those are tense, and it's just kind of like crunch time, like, ooh, all the things that are going to come and come up to get in your face are going to do that during a square moon. Or a quarter moon. Okay. And same with a third quarter moon. I think it's actually a third quarter moon. Are we heading into a full moon, or do we just have one? See, for no one like the sky, I don't actually keep all the information in my head of what's going on currently. There's a lot of things in this head. Anyway, when you've got like that square energy of the moon, it's tense. And when things are square, you don't fight with them because they will fight back. You sit with them. You see everything around them. You notice everything. You get into observer mode, and then something shifts. It just needs you to see some aspect of it from a different direction, and you turn a corner. Okay. That's literally like, get right brain with it. It's like, oh, we're turning the corner on something. Something needs to be seen differently.
In the chart, is that where in the middle of the chart, in the circle, you've got the lines, and then you see the little square? Is that what that means? Or is that
there's an aspect that, well, there's aspects in a chart that are squares.
Okay.
it will depend on your chart as to how many you have, if you have any, where they are, that kind of thing. But yeah.
I don't think so. When you pulled my chart, I didn't have any of the little red squares.
You have 2.
Oh, I have. Never mind. I have.
She's
2.
like, dang.
You said I didn't have something, and you were like, "That's really good," but I guess I have 2. I thought I didn't have any.
Those are the quincunx or ink junks that are sticky. Like people consider, most astrologers consider a quincunx aspect a minor aspect, and like through my own inner work, I was like, that's the biggest lie I've ever heard, because a quincunx energy is like 150 degrees. The planet is 150 degrees from the other planet, and it's just like they just don't know how to talk to each other. And in your psyche, how that relates to your own psyche is like, there's 2 things that just aren't communicating, and you kind of don't even know the thing that you don't even know. And it's just like, you're floating around the world in your daily life going like, well, I feel this thing and it's really weird and tense and awkward, and I just don't know what to do about it. And it usually has something to do with karma. Like everybody I've read a chart for is like a karmic, it has been attached to a quincunx. I'm like, well, there's the reason.
Oh.
But once you become conscious of them in the chart, it almost gives your psyche permission to start working on it on a whole other level. Like when I understood my quincunx aspects in my chart, it was like Sun conjunct or Sun quincunx Jupiter. I was like, oh, my expression energy, there's something I don't know about expansion and my Sun, my expression energy, and it's like I've been shy and had all kinds of like social anxiety all my life, and it's like literally Jupiter did not know how to help the Sun expand so I could express. And usually there are things that you will come into later in life. You'll just keep working on it until it's much later. And that was a game changer for me. I was like, oh, look, it's right there in my chart. Well, okay, now I can work on it differently, right?
Yeah. Well, you express very well these days.
Taking a lot of work.
Yeah. And you have a huge mission. So, it's one of those things where it's coming into play now, where the way that you're expressing is now supporting, your mission. And it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when I have my script done.
Game changer. Yeah, total game changer.
Especially when I have my script done and all of you guys are in my series. I've got a part for you to play yourself.
Yeah.
Unless you really want me to get an actress, but I really want you to play your own parts. It's
Bring it on, girl.
Yeah, so bright and expressive now. Yeah, she is. Oh my gosh.
Now you can't shut me up.
No, we love it. We love it.
I'm working on the opposite energy now. It flipped, and it's like, okay, so I went from this side to this side, and now I got to moderate it. I got to get in the center. Eventually, I'll get it balanced out where it's like, I know exactly when to say the thing, and I know exactly when to stop talking. I'll get that Buddhist monk vibe on where I answer a question with a question, and I'll know my job is complete.
I love it. Do you have your solstice crown?
Oh, girl, we gonna put the crowns on.
Yes,
we did a thing.
We
got our crowns out. This is crown on solstice.
Yes, I love yours.
Getting their sovereignty on. 2 of them would be us.
Right before we went live, Janine's like, should we crowns for the solstice? And I'm like, absolutely an amazing, great idea. So if any of you have your crown right next to you, put it on. If you don't, put your energetic crown on. You got it.
Do something on the solstice, which is Sunday. Put your crowns on. Go out in the sun or whatever it's doing that day and just breathe it all in, right?
All the codes, all the sun codes.
Yep. Do your breath work with your crown on. Walk around your house. Do your dishes with your crown on. Embody that crown.
I'm going to wear no clothes outside, just me in the sun and this crown. Well, maybe
That's
not
right.
this
Do
one.
some dancing. Get out there at midday and do some dancing, and like find something that makes you feel joyful, because that's what it's all about. Like get out there and dance, and like if the vibes come up where you're like, I don't feel sure about this, like cry, let it happen, like just let it all happen and just be like, it's all beautiful. Yes. Everything under the sun is beautiful, and like that's the vibe. Ride the wave, surf the wave.
Eat all the good foods. Stay hydrated.
For sure.
All the things.
We're probably going to do a little breathwork thing for anybody that watches this video. Like, I'm wondering if we shouldn't do it on Clubhouse, or I don't know. Maybe there's some way where we can do it publicly and like anybody that wants to join. Like, can you imagine the network of people that would all be doing the breathwork at the same time?
Yeah, give me your link. Give me the link to. Let's put the link in our bio to the Zoom.
That's a good idea. Yeah, for that day.
Yeah, once you decide on a time.
Yeah, do a Zoom link.
Advertise it. Anybody who wants to jump on can jump on. We'll do all the breath work together.
That would be awesome. And anybody that wants to share it can do the same thing, or we can funnel it to one account. Whatever we want to do. We can put it on whoever wants to do it can do whatever. Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll coordinate.
We will. This was I have another crown, but this one was the closest one I had to me. So I was like, I'm just going to.
Yes.
Not exactly.
And these are so fun to make. You guys, if you don't have a crown, go make one.
I love it.
You will learn so much about yourself in the process. Like, I can't tell you the things I learned about myself just doing this. And like every feather you put in here, you say an intention or an affirmation. And like when you put this thing on, you have some motherfucking juju on your head, you guys. You feel like $1 million. So do it with your affirmations and your intentions. Like, bless every feather you put in it, and then go dance under the sun.
Can we do this on one of our like Zoom nights? Like we all just make a crown together, like in our own space, but together.
Make a new crown. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
We could do a different crown for like different things. Like, this is the crystal crown. This is the flower crown. We could have a lot of fun with that.
A lot of crowns, yeah. And then we could just have like all our crowns on a wall.
I know.
Like which one you need for the day.
A feather crown day.
What am I working with today?
Yeah, right. Today feels like the crystal crown day.
Yeah. I've got my Earth crown. I've got my Arcturian crown. I've got my Great Central.
Your Starseed crown. Oh my God, that would be amazing. We're getting ideas, you guys. Get ready.
Oh my God, we're gonna have like a whole crown course.
A crown course, yes.
Oh my God. Can we have crown making? Yeah, exactly, Samantha.
You know what else is fun that I haven't like thought about bringing up because it was corny. I felt like it was corny when I did it, but I made my Starseed business card. Ooh. Like legit galactic business card with nothing serious on it except my phone. Well, of course it's serious, but
serious, yes.
Like it's serious. But the only real 3D thing on there is my phone number, and everything else is like galactic goddess, quantum healer, like all those things. It's like, it's all true, but it's all galactic. And it was so fun to make. Finding like images for it, and like it was really fun. We should do that too.
Everybody needs to tap into their creative side. Like things will come out that you're just like, whoa. Like, where did that come from? Because a lot of times people don't think that they are creative, and then they tap into it, and then they see the result of their efforts, and they're like, okay, I got something here. So we should always practice getting into that creative zone.
Playfulness.
Often. That's what I love. It's my favorite.
I know. It is fun. It is fun. It's like embodying that childlike wonder, and that's the whole game. And then you can do it and fun, you know, you're on the right track.
Yes. And then something just popped in my mind for people who are watching and don't exactly understand what the solstice is. That is the day where it's the most sunlight, correct?
Yeah, the sun is at maximum volume.
Maximum volume. But for like the longest time.
You have the most daylight in a 24 hour.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why it's like, don't stay in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't watch Netflix or Hulu or what are the other things. Like, save that for some other time. Like, get out in nature, take a hike, go swimming,
just be
sit under a tree, read a book.
Yeah. Whatever it is you love to do. If you have crystals, like, put your crystals out. Some of them don't like the sun. Just put them under a tree in the shade. It's just put them on the earth. Let them recharge with that, full blast power. Get yourself a little sun. Spend some time just relaxing under a tree, reading a book, whatever. Go for a walk.
Put some water out. Let the sun
charge some water. Do some crystal water. That's always fun. And noon, like high noon, is like full blast power. So, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for a breath
That's
work.
A public service message. Noon in your area is like peak intensity. So just kind of be aware, like even if you're not outdoors, just kind of be aware of what you're feeling around that time of day. If it gets super intense, you know, just chill.
Yeah. Create the space. Carve that time out for yourself.
Yeah, because some people are more energetically sensitive. Some people aren't, and that's fine. But the people who are, you will feel it.
Yeah. Here for it. Yes. Yes, say hi, New Solstice. I love it. Janine, is there anything else you want to share with us? Any other nuggets about SKYstrology that perhaps maybe we skipped over or didn't talk about in full, or anything, girlfriend? This is your time to give anything to all of us.
I think that kind of covered the difference. Like the three big differences are it measures the actual size of the constellations in the sky, it follows precession, and there's actually 13 signs that the zodiac travels through. The sun.
Oh,
zodiac, whatever.
I remember
the sun, the ecliptic travels through 13 signs in real life. So that's
I remembered something.
Okay.
When you talked about the moon going through Pisces and
yes, that's the next level that I'm working on. If there's any software developers or app developers out there, like, please call me, because I really want to do my own software on this, because the planets do not necessarily travel along the ecliptic. The sun is what we're talking about with the ecliptic. The sun passes through 13 constellations. The actual planets move through a lot of different placements, constellations, than the sun does. There's up to, some research I've done is like 17 to 24 other constellations, like the planets, various planets. Like that's a total. All the planets travel through up to like 24 other constellations. That's a completely different energetic read. So like just the moon, because the moon's easy to track. Every month the moon goes Pisces, Cetus, Pisces, or it's the other way around, Cetus, Pisces, whatever. You know, it doesn't all stay in the brain, but I know the thing. It dips into Pisces and Cetus twice every lunar cycle, and Cetus is a completely different archetype than Pisces. So that's where it's going next. And I can see it if I know where it is. Like I can manually put it in on a birth chart and be like, oh, it was actually in Cetus when it shows on Pisces. But like I would love to have the software to just show me exactly where everything is on an astronomical level. So that's the next step.
I'm calling it right now. Everyone who's watching this live or later in time, if you or someone you know does coding, who can create this app, who can join forces with Janine, reach out.
Yes.
If you can't find her for some reason, you can reach out to me. Like I will get her to you. So let's make it happen.
Make it work.
I see it.
That would be awesome. I love that. That would be awesome. It would be awesome. It will happen.
It's going to be awesome because it's going to happen.
It's time for this to be birthed, right? It's time for this astronomical type astrology to be birthed. So
it is.
It will happen.
Now is the time. Yes. Because here we're talking about it, so we are putting it into motion. It already exists. We're just in this time on Earth talking about it.
Hashtag true story, girl. I want y'all to see how tall this is, because like I love playing.
I love it. Peacock. Love it. Oh my gosh.
So fun. So fun.
Thank you so much, girl. So I'm going to have you back for dream work, because I feel like that deserves its own potent conversation, and we can just dive in deep, and then maybe we can have people who can chime in and ask questions about their most recent dream that they've had, that are they're just like, what
you can now bring up to 4 people on a call, so we can totally do that. We're priming the pumps for that one.
Okay.
And you are such a powerful dreamer, like it's
crazy. Sometimes I just want to stay there, but I know I can't. But it's right now me kind of learning how to have the confidence to do it in that state, versus when I wake up, I'm like, how come I didn't react a certain way? You know what I mean? Like, how come I didn't take that on? Or why did I shy away from that? You know, and I'm like, so I know there's still a lot of work, but yeah, I feel like you really actually helped me. As soon as we started talking about dream work about, I don't know, maybe it was about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Like deeply, it kind of like triggered something.
Started clicking.
Like, okay.
Right. learn how your subconscious communicates with you, and it will show you how to communicate with the whole entire universe.
Yeah.
That's it. So Inner Sky Alchemy is my handle, and that's the name of it.
Oh my gosh, Janine, I love you so much. I can go on forever and ever, but you know,
I know people don't have don't understand how long our calls
attention span. So we'll break it up. We'll do this another day. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you again. Again, if any of you have any questions, please, please, please reach out to her. Just book a session, book your chart reading. Like the more people that go to her, the more that she's actually going to get even more nuggets to make it even better. So when she does have the app and everything down, she's going to just be so much more powerful, and we all are going to be able to read our charts even better, right? And be able to teach other people. So power to you, sister. I love you. And thank you again, everyone who's joining us live. I love you, ladies. And I'll talk to you soon. Love you.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Okay. Bye.